Mexican NBA champions. LeBron James captures that elusive title he so desperately coveted.
What's up, everybody? The question for the show: will LeBron James and the Heat repeat? You just heard what happened last year. The Heat winning in 5 games over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Can that happen again? And let's get this show started. My name is Stephen Hughes, the host of the second edition of NBA Weekly. I'm going to be having some special guests along the way. So, two very good NBA analysts, a part of the national sports station that we have here on Spreaker.com. First, it'll be Chris Sylvester. He'll be talking to us about the big blow that the New Orleans Hornets have with the loss to Anthony Davis due to a concussion. Also, he'll talk to me and to you guys also about the disappointment in the first 5 games that the Los Angeles Lakers have had. And later in the show, after Chris Sylvester, we'll have Cameron Sadeghi on, and he'll be talking to us about the 2 games currently going on right now, or it already happened today. The first game is going to be the Wizards and the Celtics. That game going to overtime. Also, the big game involving the Hornets, the 76ers and the Hornets. That game was on ESPN about a few hours ago. So, without further ado, let's just get this show started. Let's bring in Chris Sylvester. Chris, you're on the show.
Hey, Steven, thanks for having me.
It's great having you on the show, Chris. And first, go straight at it. Anthony Davis, the rookie, #1 overall pick in this year's draft, from the Hornets, is already out, and there hasn't been a lot of games going on lately in the NBA. New Orleans just played their 4th game today, and how big is this for the Hornets that Anthony Davis ruled out because of concussion that he suffered on Saturday night?
Well, this is actually pretty huge for the Hornets because although they do have a group of young guys to build their team around, I really believe that they need their centerpiece, and that is Anthony Davis. You know, a concussion is something you don't see all that often in the NBA. Certainly hope it doesn't have a long-term effect, but you never know with concussions. You know, this could be an injury that keeps Davis out for an extended period of time, and that's exactly what the Thunder do not need. They had a good first game against the Spurs and a loss, and since then it's been mediocre. But obviously Anthony Davis, they're going to need him if they want to win some ball games this year and get one of the top 8 teams in the Western Conference, which is always tough every single year. So I certainly think it affects the Hornets big time right now, and you just hope it's not a long-term injury for Davis. You hope he can come back as soon as possible because they're already without their shooting guard, their small forward, Eric Gordon, who they acquired from the Clippers last year in the Chris Paul trade. He hasn't played all that much with New Orleans. He's been bothered with a leg injury, but he won't need surgery. He'll be back in about a month or so. But you also have Austin Rivers, and you also have Anthony Davis. And if Anthony Davis can't play, those 3 guys really just can't gel as the big 3 of that team. And I really think that Gordon and Davis need to get healthy quick, or this Hornet season is all but lost.
Yeah, I know, but also I just want to correct myself. It was on Friday that Anthony Davis got hurt. That was only the 2nd game of the season. New Orleans, they're 1-1 without him. They're 2-2 currently this season after their loss to the 76ers. We'll get more on that when Cameron gets on to the show. But this is pretty big. The Hornets, they did not have a great season. That was their first season after trading Chris Paul to the Clippers and getting a bunch of guys from Los Angeles, but really not having good chemistry. Really, one of the worst teams in the NBA. I could say that the Charlotte Bobcats were, but The Bobcats didn't get the first overall pick. They did. They got some luck right there in getting Anthony Davis plus getting Austin Rivers. But just speaking of those two, you were saying that Anthony Davis was a bigger deal. Why do you think he's such a bigger deal? Does he bring some type of leadership? Does he look like a better player on the floor? Why do you think that?
Well, I mean, he was the number one overall pick in the draft, and you want to see early on what this guy can do and what this guy can't do for your team. We saw early on with Greg Oden and the Trailblazers that was never going to work out, and Greg Oden, played in not that many NBA games. We haven't seen him play, I believe, in the last 3 seasons. He's going from injury to injury. Certainly hope something like this doesn't happen to Anthony Davis. Obviously, a concussion, very serious, but sometimes it doesn't linger on like a knee. The problem that Greg Oden has been having the last 4 or 5 years since coming out of college. But you certainly want to get him in, and you want to get him adjusted to NBA level play as soon as possible. Just remember, this kid only played 1 year at Kentucky and went number one overall in the NBA draft. So this is a kid who doesn't have a legit amount of experience playing with the big boys. He did play on the USA team this summer with the Olympics. Yeah, with the USA team that won the gold medal in the Olympics, but you certainly want to have him gel with his teammates early on, so by the time it gets to mid-season, by the time we get to February, March, this team can really gel, and this Hornets franchise is something to look forward to. But without Anthony Davis, I really don't see the Hornets going anywhere in the next couple of years. You certainly hope he gets better. I think he will get better, but you can never be stingy. You can never be sure about the positions.
Well, hopefully, yeah, you're talking about that's a good point. Just pretty much, you're talking about Greg Oden, and I definitely agree with that. He doesn't even play in the NBA anymore. His knees are so bad. The doctors said that he couldn't. His knees weren't good enough to even have surgery on. So that, hopefully, the concern of Anthony Davis's concussion does not linger on, especially this season and going forward, pretty much. But there are a lot of guys that if they get a concussion, they're prone to get they're prone to get more concussions too. So that's the concern that New Orleans has for a long term special. For a short term, I'm not really concerned about Anthony Davis health wise. I think that this is just an unfortunate thing. I've seen probably 20 replays on it, and all of them showed his own teammate hitting him in the side of the head. So obviously unfortunate on the Hornets end. But he was doing pretty good. He was averaging 14 and a half points per game after only playing 2 games, but showing signs that he's ready to play in the NBA. He seems like very experienced, and he's so young. He was just a freshman when he just came into the draft this year. But obviously, another rookie, Darius Miller, is going to replace Austin Rivers, who's also injured due to a sprained left index finger. So let's talk. I think we're done about the Anthony Davis problem. I think that is a big deal, but I think the bigger deal is the Los Angeles Lakers. They're a game and a half out in the Pacific Division. That's fine. That sounds reasonable. You think that they can be like 2-2 or 3-2 right now. The Lakers are 1-4 right now, and that's the concern everybody has because it seems like the Lakers should be the dream team or the Heat from 2010, 2011. Chris, tell me what's wrong with the Lakers.
It's simple. It's one thing. It's chemistry. Obviously, when the Miami Heat first came together, they lost their very first game. They did start 9-9, but they weren't this bad. I can't remember the Heat starting 1-4. They didn't start 1-4. You know, at some point they got it rolling. You know, I just think that this Lakers team is just too old. I mean, you look at the starting lineup. Steve Nash is still a great player, but he's old. Kobe Bryant, still a top 5 player in the NBA, but he's not what he used to be. Dwight Howard's coming off of back surgery. The dude can't shoot free throws for his life, and he always seems like he's in foul trouble come the fourth quarter, if not before the fourth quarter. That's the problem with the Lakers right now. And the other problem is that they don't have a bench. Antoine Jameson, Jody Meeks, I mean, those are the only guys that I know off the bench. Steve Blake, he's not much of a player anymore. You know, I just don't see the Los Angeles Lakers. And I didn't see it before the season. I can't see the Los Angeles Lakers winning a championship with just this bunch that they have right now. If they got some better role players in there, then I think they'd have a much better shot. But Steve Nash is getting any younger. Neither is Dwight Howard, neither is Pau Gasol, neither is Kobe Bryant, and neither is Metta World Peace. So this Laker team, after this season, might have to say goodbye to a guy like Metta World Peace and Pau Gasol, just to get younger guys in there who can stay in the game longer. It's not like Steve Nash isn't going to log 40 minutes like he used to. Kobe's not going to log 40 minutes. Dwight Howard can log 40 minutes, but he's always in foul trouble, 5 minutes into the ball game. He got 2 fouls on him. So that's the problem with the Lakers. Another big problem, I think, is Mike Brown. I don't see him coaching the Lakers beyond this season, if not in the middle of the season. I think something that I've been hearing is Jerry Sloan, old great Utah Jazz coach, might come out of retirement and coach the Los Angeles Lakers. Obviously, that's just speculation. And obviously, we're only 5 games into the season, but right now, Mike Brown seems to have no idea at what he's doing coaching this team, and this team has no chemistry at all whatsoever.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, but I like your kind of like prediction. Maybe you got Jerry Sloan possibly replacing Mike Brown, but Lakers obviously preseason they didn't win a single game. They're 0-8, but that's just a preseason. You didn't have your stars playing like a lot, and that might have been the thing that the Lakers probably made a mistake on. I think that since this team is different, they have Steve Nash now, they have Dwight Howard. The bench isn't really that good, so you want to put in the bench a lot to keep them to get their reps and to try to get them to get better. But at the same time, you want your stars and to get to know like the plays, to know what tendencies each person has, and obviously hasn't really worked out. The Lakers got their first one on Sunday. It was against the Pistons. They're undefeated. They're 0-4 this year, and that's the problem the Lakers possibly have to start the year. They lost to the Jazz today. That's a big they lost to the Jazz today. That's a big concern. You lost to the Jazz. They're not that good of a team. They're not the team that they could be or they were a few years ago with Andre Kirilenko. He's on the Minnesota Timberwolves right now. So hopefully the Lakers bounce back against the Warriors in at Staples Center. So hopefully they can get something started. Howard has been doing the most pretty much, I think. 28 points against the Pistons. That's not really saying a lot, but scoring leader against the Pistons or in any NBA game is pretty good. Well, the Lakers don't. It seems like the Lakers don't really have a good start, Chris. They started the game with 17 points, and they were down by 8 going into the first quarter. That's a concern I have. But you know, we'll see what happens, and hopefully the Lakers can bounce back. Kobe Bryant had
Well,
20.
at this point, with Steve Nash injured and Dwight Howard not making a free throw and Kobe Bryant not being able to log the minutes that he did, I just can't see the Lakers, being anything more than a 4 or 5 seed this year. The Western Conference is a very balanced conference. You're going to have San Antonio near the top. You're going to have, obviously, Oklahoma City near the top. I think the Clippers will be in the top. Golden State is a very, very good young team. I think they'll be in the playoff picture. Even though Dirk Nowitzki's injured right now, Dallas still has a good team. And there's a lot of other teams in the Western Conference that are going to surprise people this year and be better than the Los Angeles Lakers. And, I'm surprised at this start, but I'm not surprised that the Lakers aren't what everyone thought they would be. And I'm pretty sure everyone would think by this point in the season the Lakers would be 5-0. That's not happening. I don't see the Lakers getting to 500 until mid-December. This team, it's going to take a while for them to gel. Obviously, it worked for the Miami Heat after a while, but let's face it, Kobe Bryant right now is not LeBron James. Steve Nash right now is not Dwayne Wade. Dwight Howard and I'll give Dwight Howard the edge over Chris Bosh, but when you have guys like LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, 2 of the best players in the game, that's all you need. Dwight Howard's only going to do so much as center down there in Los Angeles. It's really Kobe Bryant's team. Kobe Bryant's going to need to learn how to shoot basketball more, and he's going to have to get used to having superstar teammates alongside of him. This is a very good Lakers team on paper. They just need to figure it out chemistry-wise, and then I can see them making them at the top of the Western Conference. Since I don't see that happening for a while, I think it's going to be a little bit too late for them to catch up and be a top 4 seed, but